Hello boys and girls, it's that time of week again, book review week, and this week we are covering Dennis Skinner, Sailing Close to the Wind. Now this man is one of my favourite politicians, one of my favourite MPs out of all 650 of them, because he's a man of principle, very committed to his beliefs, very committed to his views, and just YouTube Dennis Skinner and you will see videos, entire pages of videos of this man giving passionate speeches in the Commons, even being thrown out a number of times because he refuses to take back things he said. For instance, he famously called David Cameron Dodgy Dave, and the Speaker of the House told him to retract that statement, and he said no, and he was thrown out. He also famously stood up and said half the Tories on the opposite bench are crooks. He was asked to retract that statement as it's factually incorrect. He stood up and said, okay, half the Tories on the opposite bench aren't crooks. So he's very, very passionate with his words, very direct in his language, to the extent where it actually gets him in trouble in the House of Commons. And this is his life story. It's essentially an autobiography. It's got reminiscences as the subtitle, but it's essentially his life story. It talks about his life in poverty in the North as a child, his life working in the mines. He was a miner for 40 years before he became an MP, all the way through to his exchanges with Thatcher in the Commons when she was in power, to his views, his activism in local council, in the Bolsover councils. There's a pictures section you can flick through, excuse me, to where he's actually been arrested a couple of times for his activism, all the way through to his activism with the Labour Party, to his beliefs that a Labour government is always going to be better than a Conservative one, all the way through to his beliefs during the Blair years, the beliefs on what the Blair government was doing, the Blair institution. It covers everything. His entire life. This man has had a fascinating life. As usual, in true Dennis Skinner fashion, if you know Dennis Skinner, if you're familiar with him, you will find many jokes here, many witty anecdotes, stories of him walking around during the miner strikes in the 80s, stories of him walking around deliberately leaving lights on through the buildings of Parliament, to the extent where they actually assigned a police officer to follow him around, turning off the lights behind him as he left them on. So that's how much this man has caused a buck to the system, to the establishment, throughout his many years. He's an elderly man now. He's quite old, but he's still, I don't recall ever hearing him miss a single debate. I don't think he has missed a single debate in all his years that he's been an MP. He's truly committed, truly passionate, truly admirable man that just go ahead and pick this book up and read it, even if you're not a Labour voter, even if you're not a Labour supporter. It is a man with experience. He talks about things he does outside of politics. He's quite active, quite a good runner or power walker. So he's quite good with that. He's quite, active, quite upbeat. Exercise is quite important to him. He also states that he likes to keep his brain functioning, particularly as he gets older, so he does crosswords quite regularly. And he talks about just little things that he's picked up in politics, how it's quite interesting that Labour and Tory MPs will tear into each other in the House of Commons, absolutely annihilate each other, eviscerate each other's arguments in the Commons. And then at lunchtime, they'll sit next to each other, eating lunch, having a friendly discussion. And you thought that was quite interesting. And things like that. So go ahead and pick that up if you haven't read it already. Sailing Close to the Wind by Dennis Skinner. Definitely worth a read, man. It's really interesting to hear this man's perspective. Even down to, he's even had exchanges with Enoch Powell and people like that, and Mosley. Actually, no, I don't think he was quite early enough for Mosley, but Enoch Powell and Thatcher and all these historical political figures, he has had exchanges with most of them. Go ahead and pick it up. It's very interesting, very worth a read. That was Dennis Skinner, Sailing Close to the Wind. See you in the next one.